I love it when they do that. Recording in progress. It's great, isn't it? Got it. Hello, lovely Sharon Keenan, the Energy Recovery Program wonderful lady. We've got you back again because you're doing something different.
We love having you here.
Oh, thank you, ladies. I love being here. It's great. Thank you.
You're not just the Energy Recovery Program lady, though. You've got a plethora of wonderful essences that work on the, from a healing perspective, working with people on a healing journey, some of it really deep. However, today we're here to talk to you, and you're to talk to us about the Earthlight System that you've created, which is about reconnecting you to the rhythm of life through working with the circadian rhythm. I was determined to get that right today. Because you can say, people say circadian, it's not, it's circadian. So let's get the word right before we start. So welcome, sweetie. It's lovely to have you here, and for you to take us forward with what all this is about, really. How, sounds wonderful. I love it.
Tell us.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Fiona. And just wonderful to be back. And I'm really grateful to have the chance to talk about this, because the Earthlight System is actually working with 3 essences that I've been working with for quite a few years. And also some people watching this may already have encountered them. Those 3 essences are mushroom, mistletoe and lichen. There we go. There you go. You've got the original.
I've got the original.
You've both got the original sets, of course. Fantastic.
We trialed them, didn't we? We were
absolutely part of the trialing. And what's happened since these essences have gone out into the world and people have been working with them, much more information has been coming back to me about what they're really about. Right. And I'm really excited to share that with you today, because what they're really about is about, as Jane was saying, reconnecting us to the rhythm of life. And that rhythm is the circadian rhythm, which I used to call the circadian rhythm as well until more recently. And what the circadian rhythm is we probably would have all heard about this at school. It's a biological rhythm that basically runs this, that we all have in our bodies. The word circa means around, and the word dm comes from day. So the circadian rhythm lasts about a day in our human cycle, and it's governed by our beautiful sunlight, our beautiful Father Sun.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's been really fascinating is, I've had this relationship with sunlight and artificial light for quite a long time. And any of you that have been following me for a while will know that I get quite uppity around when the clocks change in the autumn, because it just completely sets people's health back massively.
Yeah.
And so my work is mainly in the area of adrenal fatigue, helping people use nature to recover from adrenal fatigue and burnout, chronic stress and trauma. And it turns out that working with light is fundamental to healing all of those things. And I'm really excited to share how you can do that yourself simply, even without working with the essences. But then I will talk about the essences and how you can sort of amplify that process, if you like, because that's kind of what they want me to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, both probably Fiona and I, we know about the light system, and I think as modern day people, we've forgotten how to live our lives with the cycle of the sun. And, there is the old adage of, you should go to bed when the sun goes down and get up when the sun gets up. However, we're programmed. It's like, well, I'm not tired to go to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK in the middle of winter. Yeah. I'm not sure my office would like it if I said, right, I'm off to bed now.
And then you've got all the other things for the evening, haven't you?
Absolutely, like eating and stuff like that,
telly and
kids coming home from school and all that. So tell us a little bit more how people can work with that and in an everyday life, and then how this lovely system that you've pulled together can enhance that for them.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because it is basically that. It's about aligning with those rhythms. How do we align this ancient cosmic rhythm, this earth rhythm that we've all grown up with our modern day life? How do we do that? And the first thing to say about it is just notice, first of all, notice that, living under artificial light all the time isn't natural to us. We haven't adapted as a species. The light bulb's only been around a couple of 100 years, and we've been around hundreds of thousands of years, and we've spent most of that time outdoors connecting with the light in a particular way. So I think the first thing is just to kind of notice that, even if that's the only thing you do, is just notice that we're not designed to live under artificial light. And also what relates to most of us, because we do work more online as well now,
Yes.
we're not designed to be online. You know, the blue light that comes from the screens is one of the harshest to our systems, and that's been discovered to be the one that really dysregulates us most powerfully. So for example, how do we align with a more natural circadian rhythm in our modern life? Maybe just even a few nights a week, just make a decision to turn the laptop off, or not look at your phone and after a certain time, you know, or not sit and watch the TV after a certain time. Like,
or not read your book on your iPad.
I would say I've actually been asked this loads of times, and it's one of the worst things we can do for our eyes and for our system.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's way better to either read a good old fashioned book,
yes,
or have an audio book on, you know, at the other side of the room that you can listen to, or put the phone up and talk to friends, you know, good old fashioned, you know, like we used to back. And this is the interesting thing. It ties into so many different things, you know, when we become aware of the effect of artificial light on our systems. I mean, yes, scientists have shown it dysregulates our whole hormonal system. It dysregulates our sleep cycle. And that was really what got me interested in working with this particular system. I mean, I'm fortunate I have a very robust sleep cycle. I don't have problems with sleep, but I have loads of clients that do, and loads and friends as well, and colleagues. And especially since we've had the outbreak of the pandemic last year, there's actually something now called coronasomnia.
God.
There is a term. Scientists
they do love putting labels on things.
They love their labels, don't they? But it's a term for people who've had a lot of anxiety around the outbreak, and also have a dysregulated pattern. What would normally be a regular pattern has been dysregulated. So that brings to a really important point about you know, another way that we can align a more ancient way of living in a modern society with light is one, as I say, just maybe look at you know, just get into the habit of turning the laptop off at night, or you know, I know it's not always possible, but there are times when it is possible. So I've certainly changed my business around to be more, okay, there are a few times I absolutely have to be on my, you know, laptop after sunset or whatever, or at night time, but do I most of the time? Not really. So I can change that around. So that's the first thing. I tell you what's really powerful as well is just to, using your phone actually, just to set an alarm on your phone for sunrise and or sunset, just to kind of acknowledge that. And even if you don't do anything with it, but just acknowledging that creates a certain beautiful rhythm in the system, which I can't quite put into words, but it does sort of change your perspective. Yeah, exactly that. And what a lot of experts have said is the best way to regulate yourself is to, when you get up in the morning, just go outside for 20-30 minutes, take your glasses off. I've actually got like a filter on my glasses because of the screen, but take your glasses off. If you've got glasses on, don't wear sunglasses, and just let the morning light get to your eyes and as much of your skin as possible. And obviously Jane, you're there in France, you've got that amazing guaranteed sunlight mostly. But even though those of us in the UK, even when it's cloudy, we're still getting some of that light, and it does help to regulate our systems quite a lot. So I think those things for starters are quite good.
It's interesting. I'm just going to throw something in the mix here, because obviously you've been talking about the evolution of things, and you know, we haven't evolved to live under these sort of lights, and we've forgotten how to live with the rhythm of light. And I'm going, a very, very dear friend of mine, her mother has dementia, and one of the things that has gone with her dementia, she has no idea of time and no idea of going to bed. So, you know, when everybody else thinks about 10 o'clock, 10:30, it's time to go to bed, she does not understand, why am I going to bed? And when the winter comes, well, she's ready to go to bed at 4 o'clock, and it's just, and I'm thinking, perhaps that's one of the things that we've brought upon ourselves over the time with, you know, artificial things. If we lived with life mind you, we probably wouldn't still be around if we were around thousands of years ago. We wouldn't be incredibly old and trying to live this life. But it just dawned on me that is, it's an interesting, to suddenly a part of your brain doesn't understand night and day.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I've actually had first-hand experience with this. I have a friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, her son has a condition, which is a disorder of the pineal gland, pituitary, which affects the pineal gland. And that's been his story. I used to babysit for him when he was younger. And he literally, it made my heart break. He said he didn't know if it was nighttime or daytime. And it was his bedtime. And he was so confused.
Yeah.
He was later diagnosed with other things, but it's to do with the balancing of the pituitary and the pineal gland.
Yes.
So it is you're right. It is something which we it can be very distressing, if you're out of rhythm. Good point.
And that's an extreme, obviously. I mean, those are extremes, everyday life. But it just dawned on me: is that something that we've introduced over our lifetimes? I don't know.
Well, it may also be connected with being indoors all the time. You can dysregulate.
Yeah.
For instance, I was reading about a study, and now they're starting to use light therapies in intensive care units in hospitals, because obviously you're in intensive care. There's no windows. You don't know. You've obviously got your system is in distress, but another system that's in distress is you don't know if it's day or night. So they're finding that introducing natural lights. They're using light boxes, obviously, but they're also looking at changing architecture and bringing natural light in. And I thought, my goodness, if you have mushroom, mistletoe and lichen in all these places, just spraying them around, at the right times, what good would that
do? To get in there, Sharon. To get in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm also thinking that they ought to go up into space with the astronauts.
Yeah.
Because they just are in the dark all the time, aren't they?
It's interesting to say that, because mushrooms do go into space with the astronauts, funnily enough. They've discovered that mushrooms help with the absorb some of the toxicity. There's a special mushroom that grows in space.
Well, I do feel that the Earthlight System should be part and parcel of the package that the astronauts take with them.
Okay, Jane, thank you. Astronauts, we're just putting it out there. We're ready. We're fine. We're good to go. Earthlight System is good to go. So
have your logo on the side of the rocket.
Absolutely.
And if Tim Peake goes back up there again, I think you should get in touch with him to take it up and trial it.
Well, I mean, you've got a really good point there, because that is one of the stresses of being out in space, apparently, is you just lose that. And it's that's informed us about how much it affects our health as well. So, but I just want to share something with you about, you mentioning about going to bed at 4 in the winter. I've actually lived in Norway in the midwinter. I've had that experience of living right high up above the Arctic Circle, and you would literally get 4 hours daylight. But interestingly, like, we would think that would be really stressful, and of course it does bring its own stress. But the indigenous people have just adapted to that.
Yes. Yeah.
So you just do slow down.
Yes.
I think, and that's what I learned when I was living there. It's like, wow, you do just slow down, because you've only got 4 hours daylight. So you use it, and then you rest, and you spend the evenings, talking with the family, cooking really long meals, and knitting, and go to bed early.
Yeah.
But we've, as a species, we're very good at adapting, but we haven't adapted to artificial light, and that's where the Earthlight System is so helpful, because if you're chronically exhausted through sleep disruption, or chronically exhausted by being out of rhythm consistently for a long time, it can really bring you back really quickly, and then just keep going with it. So it's really interesting, and I always get a bee in my bonnet about, as I say, about the clocks changing, but also as a society, us telling people that there's something wrong with you if you're tired in the winter. There's nothing wrong with you.
No, I have SAD syndrome.
You have SAD syndrome.
You would never believe it. It's not been diagnosed, but I know myself that my life has been in the sunshine, basically, and the countries I've lived in have been hot countries. I've been very fortunate. I started off life in Singapore, so I've been on the other side of the world and then come back this way. So I like light, I like sunshine, and if there is no, and I'm moving back to the UK, as you know, And the one thing I'm not looking forward to is the winter time in the UK, when you just have lights on from when you get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night. It's just dark all the time and miserable. I think I'm going to take the house off the market. I'm going to
as we're talking about,
you'll be too busy, Jane. You won't have time to think of the lights.
But make sure that you just give yourself lots of rest at night. That's the thing, isn't it? Just find your rhythm through the winter that fits you. It's as if we carry on the 9 to 5, that's the problem. We're not designed to do it all year round. We're designed to rest. It
is. And Caliac. There we go.
And Caliac.
That's another time. So tell us about your lovely system and how this can help people and bring it all together for them.
Okay, lovely. Well, it's a 3-part system working with essences. There's an essence that you take in the daytime, which is mistletoe. And mistletoe essence is all about light. It's all about helping our relationship with light on all levels. And it's really about more working with the cosmic light, the light above the ground. It helps us to work with that, and it really lights us up. On an emotional level, it helps us to let go of old grudges and bitterness and wounds in the heart, those sorts of things. Helps promote forgiveness towards ourselves as well as other people. So it's a real heart opener. And it's interesting because in Chinese medicine, they say that Shen, the heart energy, if it's out of balance, you can't sleep. So if you've ever had a time, and I have had times when I've been really upset, angry, hurt by something, and I have not been able to sleep because I can't let go of that thing. So mistletoe just clears the heart energy, and it makes you open-hearted. And then in the daytime, you can absorb and work with all the natural light that's available. So it helps you maximize the availability of natural light. So you take that in the day. Just take 3 drops. You can take more if you want, but 3 drops is plenty. And then after sunset, whenever your sunset is your time, so I just do it at bedtime, you have mistletoe. I'm sorry, don't you have mushroom? Sorry, I'm getting excited.
The name.
The name. And mushroom is about really being comfortable with the dark. Thinking it's okay to relax. I can slow down. It's fine. And be comfortable in the physical dark, but also the metaphysical dark, the shadow, and that's one of the things that's been around. We're talking about with the corona experience. A lot of people haven't had their normal distractions, so they've been getting very upset because all this shadow stuff's come up, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with it, and I don't know where to put it. So, and it's kind of like as a species on that collective shadow level, we've all got ancestral stuff, and so what mushroom does, it helps to just absorb the fear. That's what mushrooms do, they absorb. They're really good at absorbing toxins. So the mushroom helps us to calm down at night. So for anybody, and I was thinking about that, your lady with dementia, or anybody that their pattern is dysregulated, just simply doing those things can help, and they're not going to interfere with medication, as we know with flower remedies, they work alongside.
To suggest that to my friend, and I'll give her your details.
Give her my details, absolutely.
And I'll get her to talk to you about that.
Just talk to me, just try it as well. Just try it. It's amazing. It's been, this is what's really made me passionate about it, is having the feedback from people that have been trialing it, and how it's just completely transformed their sleep pattern and their whole life. Actually, it's not just about your sleep, it's about your whole day as well, so that's it. So there's mushroom in the morning, mushroom at day, mistletoe, but so I've got it rather the wrong way. Mistletoe in the day, mushroom by night, and then lichen is in a spray, and you can use that anytime. And lichen helps you to just let go.
Just all over, yeah?
Let go all over. Yeah, I'll actually demonstrate. I've got them up here. Just all over, spray into your aura. I've got one here. You just go, and it just helps you just let go of whatever comes along. Just all of us.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
It's lovely. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It just kind of really, it just clears away all the debris, all the cobwebs, and it on an emotional level, this is very good for ancestral clearing as well.
It's like a lightness. I've just sprayed it. I feel this kind of a light.
Oh look, I'm feeling left out. Hang on a second.
Go on then, have a spray. Come on.
Yay. There we go. Yay, lichen. And actually that's great because it was made in France, so it's going back to France. So
there you go.
There we are. Beautiful. So that's it. So it's really simple. So you kind of have a daytime essence, which is your mistletoe. You just take 3 drops or what you want, and then you have a nighttime one. I just keep it by your bed. It's just easy. And then a spray for any time. So if you're having a really bad day, or just there's more stuff than usual going on, as we know, sometimes there are days that's just a bit more challenging. And you can have more. You don't have to stick to 3. You know, you can have more if you feel
You
want
can't
to.
overdose on these.
You can't overdose on them.
flower
No, you can't overdose. They're very self-regulating.
Absolutely.
But what I have found is they are cumulative, because I've been working with these now for over a year, 18 months, over a year, and I find the more I use them, the deeper I go. So the more energy I have in the day, and the more rest I have at night.
Yes.
You know? And the more I can clear
Perfect,
stuff.
isn't it?
It's perfect. It's when we think about it, it's obvious, and it's such a good backdrop to everything else that we're doing. And I've also discovered, like, you know, we all do. I mean, life is hard and strange and challenging at the moment. And if stuff comes up, I find I just move through it more quickly, you know, because the lichen brings deep adaptation, acceptance. It helps us deeply accept whatever's going on, because it actually takes a lot of energy to resist what is in front of us sometimes, isn't it?
It does. And I think the fact that you're saying that it's cumulative is quite astute, really, because I think as humans, especially as adults, I'm not putting children or animals into that category, because they just work fantastically well with essences, you know, because they don't get in the way. As adults, we get in the way. And so these poor, wonderful beings that want to help us have to break down all these blimming doors to get to the core of who you are. And so I think with the accumulation, it's like, there's the heaviness. We're gonna ram raid this door, and we're gonna get to the next one. And I've always felt with flower essences, doing it for 1 month, you're gonna see some slight changes, and probably very subtle ones. And it may be external, and people might not, you know, people will see it before you do, but you have to just trust in the process. You have to trust that they are doing, because they are doing what they're doing. Just because you can't see it and it's not tangible, they're working with you on a very deep and a very subtle level. So, you know, you've got one-offs, which is lovely, but I think, you know, I think it's wise for people to sign up for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you know, and why would you want to stop once you got that? That's what I would want to know. Once you got that euphoria, why would you want to stop?
You're right. It's funny. I don't know. I think sometimes we've got our own self-limitations, haven't we? Absolutely. Am I allowed to feel that happy? Am I allowed to have this much energy?
Yes.
And it's like, so I will stop taking it. And it's like, well, why would I stop taking them? Why don't I just keep having more energy and more focus?
And I'm sleeping well, and you know, my days, and I'm kind of flowing through some of the, you know, everyday crap that comes across me. I mean, why would you not want to have some of that lovely stuff?
You've got it. Yeah, lovely. And I love what you said there, Jane, about them. They're like that in the background. It's like, to me, I described talking to someone yesterday about this. I said, to me, they're like a hum in the background. They're like this beautiful, you know, humming in the background, which is just pouring in goodness all the time. And they are all, and it occurred to me, well, I've remembered even more deeply, they're all very ancient plants.
Yes,
these were all here before flowers. You know, they're really ancient plants, like you know, lichens over 400 million years old.
Well, mushrooms, they're spores, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're spores, you know. They've been here donkey's years.
They've been here donkey's years. And when I was making the mushroom essence, basically one of the things it said to me was, I've seen it all, you know.
They've done that.
They've seen it all. So whatever us humans are going through in our little moment, our fleeting moment,
been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt.
Bought the t-shirt, literally. So it's like, okay, well, let's go and have some help from these guys who've been around for millions of years and know how to adapt and know what light's all about and stuff, you know, what rhythms are.
In reality, if you look at nature as a whole, nature adapts. Birds adapt. Fishes came out of the sea and had legs. You know, it's only humans that seem to be a bit slow on the uptake.
We're very slow on the uptake. And also, the worse than that, we think we've got it. We think we know.
Yes.
And we don't know as much as these guys do.
It's in our arrogance, isn't
Our
it?
arrogance and our ego. Mistletoe helps dissolve the ego as well, which is very useful, I think.
Oh, beautiful.
These days.
Absolutely beautiful.
I just think it's a fantastic system you've got there, sweetie. And I just think that, wow, yeah, it needs to get out there. There's so many people that need that.
I agree. Thank you.
And you're also doing something else beautiful with your essences, aren't you?
Yes.
The sales.
That's it, exactly.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, now this is very interesting. I was told, just to backtrack a little bit, when I made the mistletoe essence and that came through, the mistletoe plant told me, mistletoe's not a plant, but the mistletoe told me, I want you to donate a proportion of every sale to the Mistletoe Therapy Trust. Okay, so for over the last few years, I've donated over £300 really to the Mistletoe Therapy Trust. And what that is a charity that helps people access mistletoe as a cancer treatment.
Wow.
In the UK.
Wow.
Now, we didn't know this here, but there are parts of Europe, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, I can't remember, France, I think. Mistletoe injections are a frontline remedy for frontline treatment for most cancers, not just a few, but most cancers respond. And it's either as a standalone or as an adjunct to other treatment. Now, we don't have that in Britain for some reason. But up in Scotland, there is a charity called the Campbell Trust, which is based on Steiner principles.
Right. Yeah.
And they've set up working with them, there's a charity called the Mistletoe Therapy Organisation. And basically that helps people access treatment and also helps fund research into mistletoe therapy as a cancer treatment.
Wow.
Fantastic. Well
so
done.
For this system, there are 5 charities that are getting 1% each of the profits. So mistletoe therapy is one.
Yeah.
That's great. So that's with the mistletoe, obviously.
Yeah.
Mushrooms. Now, this is interesting because mushrooms also a cancer remedy. There are different mushrooms work with different cancers, like reishi mushroom works with prostate cancer. There's a whole system around this. Obviously, we don't work with that with essences because we don't work on the physical, we work on the energetic. So we're working more with the energetic backdrop rather than the physical. But through working with the mushroom, I learned about, actually the very next day, I heard about a guy called Paul Stamets. And Paul Stamets is a mushroom expert. And there's loads of fantastic videos about him on the internet. And he's been studying mushrooms for decades. And he talks a lot about the old growth forest. Now, the old growth forest is in Canada. And there's some very, very, it's a very delicate ecosystem. And there are some very important mushrooms there that are under threat of being, chopped down.
Of course, that's human nature.
And that is human nature. So 1% is
going to best.
Yeah, so there's amazing people doing some amazing work to protect those habitats.
Yeah.
And there's one in particular called the Wilderness Committee. So they're getting 1% as well, so that they can do their work to protect the habitats really of the mushrooms. Because as we were saying, us humans, we're very narrow-minded and limited in our thinking, and we don't understand about yet how important these things are. So part of this system, it's for us humans to benefit, but also there's that reciprocity. I feel quite emotional because we need to give back. We need to give back, and we need to do what we can to help these places.
I think people kind of view things like mushrooms, not maybe so much mistletoe because they can figuratively see it and it's associated with Christmas, but lichen as well, it's like, oh, you're on my tree and it doesn't look very nice. And so they don't look at them with the eyes that we look at them, in the sense of, what properties are you there? What are you here to teach us? And but they are the ecosystem. They're, it's like going to the coral reefs. It is the ecosystem of the planet. And if you didn't have them, then you work your way up from that with insects and birds and all sorts of things. It would just like Mars.
Well, China now have to, they have men or women impollinating the trees. I mean, that is just how we.
I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, it's just
sad, very sad. Very
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, for many years, I've been an environmental activist, and I've, been a Friends of the Earth committee member, and worked with Extinction Rebellion. I've done a lot of activism, like online frontline activism, and it's kind of like supporting those people who are working at that front line, you know, to sort of who are helping protect the plants really, and protect the system. So yeah, so if part of this is raising awareness about these guys as well, I'm really happy about that, you know, just to take a look at them and what they're doing, even if you don't buy the product or don't donate in other ways, you know, just
you know, you might not believe it, but you don't know about it. Nobody hears about it, so you can't make a you know, a full-scale judgment call on something unless you know about something and read into it. So that's two of them. So what are the other two?
So the third one is a charity called Plant Life Wales. And this is a little charity that runs, among other projects, a project called Kenad, I hope I pronounced that right, which is a lichen apprenticeship scheme. To help people learn about lichen. I know.
Have you signed up?
An apprenticeship.
I want to, but I don't live there. So good excuse to move to Wales and sign up.
Yeah, I think so.
Because one of the things about Wales is, oh God, I could talk for hours about all this, but anyway, I'm a bit of a nerd, a bit of an anorak, and I like to know the meanings of things. My background in archaeology.
You're an archaeologist.
I like to go into a lot of detail and study things. And I'm quite interested in the names of things in other countries as well. So I know when the mushroom essence was made, I looked up the name mushroom in different languages. It was like fungi, champignon, and different things in Irish and Welsh. And then when I looked up the word lichen, it's basically all around Europe, it's lichen. Every country you go to, it's lichen. And then you get to Wales, and there's at least 5 those different names words. Because there's so much of it, and I think it's nearly 70% of all the lichen in Europe is in Wales.
Oh wow,
it's a massively high amount. Yeah, I have to get that figure right, don't I? Really should have got that right, but anyway, it's a massively high.
There's a lot of them in Wales.
There's a lot in Wales.
There are other lichens in other countries.
There are lichens in other countries, but Wales, if you are a lichen enthusiast, if you want to know more about lichen, go to Wales, because it's just dripping in lichen. So this charity has that, which is really lovely. So I want to give them put some money their way. So that's that one. And then the next one is the Woodland Trust. It's a more famous one that we know about in the UK, because I really hummed and hard about which one generally for the trees, and the Woodland Trust do a lot for the trees generally, because obviously one of the things about this system is that it's all connected with trees. It's like the mushrooms grow in the roots of the trees or on the trees, the mushrooms, the mistletoes in the branches, and the lichens on the trees. So there's a whole, and if you kind of look at man or us humans as trees, you know, we're kind of like reaching out to the heavens and grounded in the earth.
Life, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful. What a beautiful image that was. Yes. I never thought of that.
Yeah, the tree of life.
Yeah, and it's all covered in light. You know, the lichen is covered in light. They're all, you know, the light in the mistletoe, the light in the dark. Ground, the light in the darkness. There we are. So, so the Woodland Trust do an awful lot. And then the last charity is called Stop HS2, which is about, I don't know if you know about this, but there's a high-speed network train line.
HS2, the train.
The train. So it's basically, I've got friends who are working on the front line, and I've sort of helped in other ways, but I really want to sort of just put some money in there to help pay for, basically legal fees to prevent
Chris Packham. Send it to Chris Packham. He'll know what to do with it.
Exactly, Chris Packham. Yeah, so he's very on board with all of that. So so those are the charities really that asked me, for want of a better word, to be included. So every sale between now and the 31st of October, 1% of the profits go to each of those, and the money's starting to build up already because people are buying.
Really fantastic initiative. And
then after that I'll look at is it the same charities, or is it going to be a new lot in the next cycle?
We'll
see. But
so you're spreading the light all around.
Spreading the light around.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Just to say, obviously we're going to recap in a minute how people can get hold of you, but if there's anybody living outside of the United Kingdom or Ireland, the island of Ireland, whether it's Northern or Southern Ireland, rather than go via your website to order the system, they should get in touch with you directly. Yeah,
that's a good point, Jane. Yeah, because currently it's just a little bit awkward to get things over to outside of the UK and Ireland right now. So unfortunately, hopefully things will get easier. But at the moment it's a little bit tricksy, so if you
better to come to you directly.
Email me sharon.essence@gmail.com, and we can But all that's on my website as well. So.
Yeah, and Fiona, I think you're going to make sure that all the info is
I will put it all down there. Yeah, put it below the video so you can get everything.
Brilliant.
Where is the best place to find you?
Yeah, my
like
website.
on your website. Yeah.
Yep, SharonKeenan.com. Yeah. And there's
we'll share the link to this page.
Lovely.
As well,
there's a page there just specifically on the system, so you can find out all about it on there.
And they just order through your shop as normal?
Yeah, just order through the shop. Yeah, and there's two ways to order. You can order a 2-month kit. It comes in 2-month amounts.
Yeah.
So you can order a one-off kit if you just want to give it a go, or if you know that you really want to commit to it, then you can set up a subscription, which you get at a lower cost, and then you'll get that sent to you every 2 months. It's kind of.
And I think that sounds wonderful, because this is a system. It needs to get into your system.
I feel it's important to get it tried for at least 3 cycles to see how it works for you. And of course, you can unsubscribe at any time if you want to, but there's 2 ways of doing that at the moment. So.
And of course, you're always available if anyone's got any questions.
Yeah, any questions, drop me an email. Yeah, absolutely. Very happy to, go into a little bit more detail with others. And also, just to say, that's a good reminder, if you buy a set before noon on this Sunday, which is Sunday the 15th, isn't it? This coming Sunday.
Yes.
If you buy a set before noon this Sunday, I'm actually going to be running a webinar on Sunday evening. A free webinar, so you where we can go in a little bit more detail. So if you do want to come along to that, then if you get a kit before noon on Sunday, then I'll send you an invitation.
Lovely.
Okay, brilliant. So shall we end with a nice spray?
Let's end with a nice spray.
Come on, all together,
let all that go.
Just a grand.
Go.
Oh, thank you, Lichen.
Oh.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you for gentle events.
That's okay. I just think it's so important that we get your message out there. That's what Magenta Events does. We get messages out there. It's important.
Share the love, don't we?
Share the love.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Share the love.
That was wonderful, Sharon.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you.
We look forward to your next venture.
Yes. I'll keep you posted.
Keep us posted. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Lots of love.